everyone's drinking a little more. They're eating stuff that they normally don't eat, and they've got that acid reflux, and they that's keeping them up at night. So let's just pop a little PPIs. And I've got a family member that thinks there's nothing wrong with it to do it long term, and is wondering why the acid reflux isn't correcting itself. So why should we not be taking acid reflux medication or even Tums with because of nitric oxide?
Yeah, look, the data are very clear now. Ever since 2015, there's been data that comes out usually every year that reveal that people who have been on proton pump inhibitors, those are the PPIs you referred to, have a 40% higher incidence of heart attack, stroke, and vascular dementia and Alzheimer's. 40% higher incidence. It's not increased risk, it's actual heart attacks, strokes, and Alzheimer's. So, I mean, this goes back to 20 years ago when the COX-2 inhibitors, the Vioxx, the Celebrex, hit the market and causing increased heart attacks and strokes. These drugs are even more dangerous than the COX-2 inhibitors. So they should have a black box warning on them, and you should not take these drugs chronically. In fact, they were never approved by the FDA to be taken chronically, only acutely for acute esophageal reflux disease. So number one, mechanistically, we know that they completely shut down nitric oxide production, and that's causing the increased heart attack, strokes, and Alzheimer's. But let's go back to basic physiology 101. You need stomach acid to break down proteins into amino acids. You can't digest proteins, so you have peptide fragments absorbed across the gut. You develop autoimmune disease, foodborne allergies, if you can't break down proteins into amino acids. We need stomach acid to absorb things like iodine, iron, B vitamins, magnesium, selenium, chromium. So when you're on antacids, you can't absorb basic micronutrients. And the basis of all chronic disease is micronutrient deficiency. Your body is either missing something that it needs or it's exposed to something that it doesn't need. And people who have been on antacids are completely deficient in basic micronutrients. So look, if I wanted to make you chronically ill and dependent upon drugs the rest of your life, first thing I'd do is put you on an antacid. And then I would recommend that you use mouthwash twice a day, get your cholesterol below 200, and now you're chronically ill and you're the best customer that pharmaceutical companies could ever imagine.
Right. One medication after another, and then you've got a cocktail and you wonder why you die early. So I love this whole idea of stomach acid is so misunderstood, because what I've actually found is most people actually need to supplement with HCl for proper digestion. Here we are increasing acid for proper digestion and micronutrients, and you talked about the importance of micronutrients. Well, we're already fighting soils that are completely depleted of our micronutrients.
That's right.
And that are sprayed with glyphosate and all of that. So here we are. We need our stomach acid to be so good at taking all the little nutrients that we're taking in, because we're not even getting what our ancestors used to get, or even our parents, let alone our ancestors. So can you dive a little deeper into that HCl versus the antacids and where people are getting this wrong?
Well, it's a paradox. Reflux disease is caused by the body's inability to produce sufficient hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So it's never made sense to me biochemically and physiologically why you would give an acid suppressor with patient with reflux disease. And this is the body's response, right? So if you can't make stomach acid and you can't break down proteins into amino acids, you get these peptide fragments that your body sees as foreign molecules. And they are foreign. These aren't human proteins. These are muscle proteins from animals, or they're plant proteins. These are foreign molecules that the body has to break down into constituent amino acids, and then we make human proteins from these constituent amino acids. So when your body's exposed to something it doesn't recognize or sees as foreign, it tries to get rid of it, right? And the response is an expectoration, right? We try to expectorate and get rid of this foreign molecule from our stomach, and that's reflux. And so what little bit of acid is actually there causes some burning to the esophagus, and you get diagnosed as esophageal reflux disease. But if you restore stomach acid production, you give the body what it needs so the pyloric cells can make hydrochloric acid, or you just take apple cider vinegar to acidify the lumen of the stomach. Now you can break down proteins into amino acid. You completely resolve the reflux disease, and you can actually break down proteins and amino acids, absorb nutrients, and let the body do what it's designed to do. The other problem with reflux disease and antacids that's completely unrelated to nitric oxide is that controls the total acid base balance of the body. Because when we need that acid dump from the stomach into the duodenum that tells the pancreas to secrete sodium bicarb, and that's the buffering capacity of the every cell in the body. So without the acid dump from the stomach, you don't get bicarb secretion. Patients become chronically acidic, and that sets the stage for cancer. Cancer is low pH, low oxygen, low voltage, and it's all controlled by stomach acid production.
Very interesting. And this is why you do not want to drink alkaline water when you're eating, especially, correct?
No, that's right. Especially if you're taking antacids, drinking alkaline water is probably the worst thing you can do. The concept of alkaline water is to get your body to secrete more stomach acid because you're providing a base. The stomach is by design supposed to be acidic. So to neutralize the base, you stimulate the stomach to make hydrochloric acid to make the body more acidic, make the stomach more acidic so you can actually lead to better digestion. But the worst thing you can do is drink alkaline water while you're on an antacid.
Right. So someone's listening and they're on their antacid right now saying, yeah, that all sounds great, but what do I do? Besides the apple cider vinegar, number one, get rid of the processed food, get rid of the alcohol, start paying attention to your diet and not just trying to chase your bad diet with a PPI. Besides that, if they're not getting relief, will hydrochloric acid supplement actually help their acid reflux, or will that irritate it more?
Well, what we do is we have to understand what the body needs to do a particular reaction, right? We understand what the body needs to make nitric oxide. It's also well known what the pyloric cells need to make hydrochloric acid. And so we got to give the body what it needs. And the chemical reaction to make HCl in the pyloric cells is you need iodine. And again, if your body is not making stomach acid, you're not absorbing iodine. Furthermore, the Western diet is completely devoid of any iodine. So almost every American is deficient in iodine. So we need iodine for that reaction. We need sodium chloride. We need B vitamins. We need zinc. And we need sodium or carbon dioxide. And that's the chemical reaction for that. So there's some products out there. So you have to supplement with zinc, iodine, and now the pyloric cells have the substrates and the precursors it needs to make hydrochloric acid. But we have to, it's a process, right? So people who have been on these antacids become dependent upon them because most everybody I talk to has tried to get off. They get rebound hyperchloride secretion, and it exacerbates the reflux disease. So what I tell people is you have to slowly wean off of these drugs. So whatever dose you're taking now, cut that dose in half and take half a dose now for a week. Then after a week, take that half dose every other day for a week. And then after that, you can just stop it. Because if you stop cold turkey, your stomach is going to make rebound hyperchlorhydria, and you're going to exacerbate the condition. And that's why people can't stop these cold turkey. But in the meantime, we've got to acidify the lumen of the stomach. So before every meal, just take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and that's the process. And then supplement with iodine and these other supplements to give the body what it needs so it can make stomach acid on its own. And that protocol works beautifully. You can actually get people off of antacids and actually allow their body to heal and perform.